How's it going, everyone? Sean here from Raw Technique Studios, and today I just released a brand new free course called Understanding EQ and Frequencies. I'll have a link to the course down below so you could go ahead and sign up for it. It's absolutely free, and it comes with 4 videos, well 5 if you count the intro, but 4 videos of actually going over different types of EQs, different types of filters, all kinds of stuff. So when you get to the page, if you click that link down below, you'll see Common EQs and Filters is one of the video sections. Transparent versus Colored EQs is another section. There's Linear Phase versus Minimum Phase EQ. There's talking about MSEQ, Dynamic EQ, all of that in that video. And then there's another video about frequency recognition, which can be great to quiz yourself on hearing certain frequencies. But what I want to do right now is give you guys one of the videos so you can get a taste of the course. And we're going to be going over the transparent versus colored EQs. And let's go ahead and just watch it right now. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at different EQs and how they change the sound a little bit, how they color the sound. This will show the difference between each EQ and why people prefer one over the other. Sometimes you want an EQ that adds absolutely no color. You want it to be very transparent, and you want to make sure, if that's what you're going for, that the EQ you're using is actually transparent. It doesn't have any built-in harmonics or color to the sound. So, for example, a very clean, clear sound is the Pro Q3. So if I engage the Pro Q3 here, you can see absolutely nothing changes here on our graph. Turn it on, turn it off, doesn't matter. It's exactly the same. That means that it's a very transparent EQ. So what I'm doing here is running a signal generator at 220 Hertz. And if you look over here on this chart, 220 Hertz is the A3 note on a piano. And we're going to look at that and see what exactly is happening when you use EQs that actually have harmonics or color to the sound. Tech from Waves, let's turn it on. And now you can see, with no changes being made on the EQ itself, just being simply put on the track, all of these harmonics are added in there, plus this low end bump. This is your fundamental. This is that 220 Hertz frequency that is put in by the sine wave. Now, your fundamental is also called your first order harmonic. And then everything else after it is second, third, fourth, and so on. So the second order harmonic is going to be exactly double. So if it's 220, double it, and now you're at 440. So 440, if you look over here on the keyboard, it's A4. So it's exactly 1 octave up from the fundamental frequency. So what it's doing is adding in an octave here, and then we go up another 220. So you just keep adding the fundamental to itself over and over. So 220 goes to 440, add another 220 to it, now you're at 660. 660 is not an exact note, as you can see over here on the keyboard, but closest to it is 659.26 Hertz, and that's an E. So that would be a perfect fifth from the fundamental, which was an A. So A, B, C, D, E, that's 5, that's exactly a perfect fifth, so that's what it's adding in there as well. Now, it's not an obvious sound that you hear in the EQ when it's engaged, but what it's doing is adding these harmonics to everything that's going into it. If I were using a vocal or a piano or some type of actual musical sound, then it wouldn't be so obvious on a frequency spectrum like this, because every single frequency that's in that vocal or piano is running through this EQ and having the harmonics added to all of those at the same time, which makes the sound. Another thing to consider is the level of these harmonics. Every single EQ and compressor or anything that's modeled to have harmonics in there, it's going to be at different levels. So this first harmonic here in one EQ is going to be down low like this, or it could be way up here closer to the fundamental. Depends on which EQ you're using. So for example, I'm going to take this one off and put this one on, and take this one off, put one of these on. See how the fundamental is the same, but all of the harmonics, the second, third, fourth order harmonics, they're going to change as far as the level of where they're coming in at. So it's all going to depend on the EQ or whatever it is that's adding in the harmonics. Another thing to consider is the gain that's added without doing any changes to the EQ itself. So right here, I refresh my gain and it's at -7. So that's the level I'm sending into it. That's what it's showing right here, -7. But if I put on, say, the EQP 1A by UAD, you can see that now, if I refresh my signal, it's at -5.9. So just by turning this EQ on with absolutely no changes to it, it added 1.1 dB to the signal.
So that's not a huge difference, but it's good to know that it's actually doing something different. It's adding gain. So if you just turn it on and make no changes and you're like, oh, that sounds better, you might just be hearing an extra dB of gain and think it sounds better because it's louder. Now it also adds in some harmonics. So you can see the second order harmonic right here is 440, which is the octave. And then the third one is 660, which is the perfect fifth. And those are the ones that come through on the UAD's Pultec EQP1A. Okay, so this is what happens when an A note on the keyboard is played. So the fundamental note is 220. But you can see the harmonics that come through to give this piano its specific sound. It has a big bump up at the octave, and then right here the perfect fifth, and so on and so on and so on. And that's what gives it its specific sound. All right, so here's the cello. Here's the fundamental at 220, and then right here at 440 you have a harmonic, and 660, and so on and so on. So it's the same type of thing. The harmonics give it its specific sound depending on the levels that it's out and everything else that's going on in the signal. All right, so a clarinet has its fundamental frequency, and then the octave is kind of low, and then the perfect fifth is pretty high. So the odd harmonics are the ones that are standing out a little bit more compared to the even harmonics. So that's what's going to develop the sound and give you a certain color or timbre to the instrument. And the same thing applies when you're doing your EQs and stuff like that. This EQ is going to sound a little bit different because it has just these harmonics right here at this level. Compared to this one right here, it has these harmonics at these specific levels. So that's what colors your sound with the different EQs. So it's good to just experiment with it. It's very subtle, so it's not something that really stands out, but it can give your sound a little bit more texture, a little bit more warmth. So now you know when you pick your EQs what you're really looking for. If you're going for a transparent EQ, go for something like the FabFilter Pro Q3 or the Renaissance EQ. It'll be the same thing. It's transparent. It has no harmonics in it as well. The stock one that's included in your DAW is most likely a transparent one as well, unless it says it has analog modeling or simulation or something like that. Then they're probably adding harmonics in there. So hopefully that was something you guys were interested in and you want to learn more about. Head over to the link down below in the description. Understanding EQ and frequencies is my new free course. I'm excited to see you guys in there, and hopefully you guys could tell me what you think of it. All right, thanks for watching. Peace.